And welcome. This is the Call of Duty World Championship 2017 presented by PS4. We are in day 2 here on Bravo Stream and we're saying goodbye to 16 teams today. My name is Bryce, joining me of course the ever wonderful Chance.
You threw me off for a second when you said we're saying goodbye. I was like, but we just got started. We got a whole day ahead of us.
We're saying goodbye to some teams today. They're going. They're gone.
And we're going to be casting a lot of those as well, I have to imagine. Half the teams yesterday played 2 matches, the other half played 1, and then it's going to be flip-flop today. So half the teams that only have 1 match on the dockets, they're going to be playing twice. So we will know by the end of the day which 16 teams are gone. And we should be able to update you guys within reason about the progress we'll be making. Of course, that'll be towards that latter half of the day.
All right, let's have a little run-through of how these groups are so far. Group A, no surprise, Optic Gaming heading that up with 2 wins to 0. Epsilon in 2nd place, 1-1. They've already played Echo Fox, and they will be playing Freeze Up later on today. Their loss, of course, coming to Optic.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of interesting things, I guess you could say. And by interesting, I mean something that a lot of people have kind of taglined IW as a bit inconsistent. But I think yesterday, nearly every single match went almost exactly as expected. I think the main exception was Straight Ripper, and technically was an upset against EG, although a lot of people had made that prediction anyway. And then, of course, Rise Nation actually kind of had their way with Luminosity, and they're up, and you see Group D 2-0.
Of course, one of the games we're watching today, Mindfreak Black versus Team Elevate. Both 1-1. They have to play each other. Winner of that, of course, will go through. Anything else that stands out to you there, Chance?
I honestly, Group G, just watching TK when they forced Spice in that Game 5, things got incredibly interesting. And I think Ghost Gaming and Millennium, they were also a game number 5. So honestly, that group could very well be a toss-up. Now, Millennium is nothing to shake your head at. A lot of times these European teams match up well against other European teams. I mean, Millennium, how often do you think they have scrimmed Spice in the past, like, 2 weeks? So that experience might be there. They might be able to come out on top. And again, TK could very well take out Ghost Gaming. So honestly, Group G could very well be a toss-up.
We could be seeing a 3-way tie, but that'll cover the groups for now, as I believe we are about to start walking into our very first game. Of course, Red Reserve versus Allegiance. We're starting off on Retaliation Hardpoint. And again, I did say Red Reserve are very confident coming into this one, Chance. I was speaking with Reddit earlier. I was asking how he felt about the map set that he had. How well do you think you're going to do? This is his answer. He said, I will bet anyone, any money. He said, get $100 out of your wallet. He said, I'll bet you that I don't drop a map. Doesn't matter what the maps are. I am not losing a map to these fools.
Well, did you take that bet, though? Did you take that $100 bet?
This is the thing. I was like, I would take that bet. He goes, you take the bet. I said, everybody take the bet. He goes, tweet it out. Tell them on stream to tweet me. I will bet them I'm not dropping a map. Now, whether or not that's just kind of hyperbole from Rated, which it could very well be, or whether or not he's 100% serious, we're about to find out.
Okay, hold on. Do they really say hyperbole in England? Is that a necessary thing you guys do?
But it's a word.
No, it's not. It's hyperbole, man. We'll get right into the match. We don't have to worry about that. The American public educational system is apparently just going to be a step above. Either way, though, Red Reserve getting off to a pretty nice start. But again, Retaliation, the amount of swing hills you can kind of have, both at Graveyard and Broken, obviously we talk about it all the time. Substantial amounts of time you can get. Joe right now, though, he's impressing me quite a bit. He's sitting at 4-1. And honestly, Joe, he's kind of, in my mind, the weak link, if you would, for respawns at least, of this Red Reserve team. So him getting off to a nice start is pretty huge.
Yeah, I think so as well. And to be honest with you, I think he's been criminally underrated in my opinion. You've only got to be a European to know that he's well respected amongst the European players. I think it's probably always been that when he shines, he's never the biggest star in the sky, if that makes sense. And he's also one of the quietest guys in the scene. So you never really see him tweet about his performances or, you know, hyping himself up.
Well, I mean, either way, all the hype is going to be in-game now because, again, he has led his team to a very nice lead early on. Of course, though, ALG bouncing back, or at least attempting to right now with Spoof. He's trying to push out for those market spawns, but unfortunately for him and his team, he is going to be giving up a decent bit of hill time, but so is Urban. He's just not putting any emphasis or pressure on the hill, so gives up a couple seconds, and he's going to die because of it.
I think Urban should have won that gunfight. He knew he was coming. He had a great position. He shouldn't really have lost it here as well, but they're now looking for spawns already. You can see that Joe has hit that flag by taking. He's about to come into a 1v1, and Spoof is going to take him down. They are fighting for these rotations so early now. but it doesn't look like Red Reserve really have anything. They're now actually looking for lower street domination, maybe to get that scrap time.
Yeah, I think so, as soon as Joe falls in that situations in that 1v1 with Spoof over in Grave, pretty much the rest of Red Reserve says, okay, we're not going to get it. We don't have to force anything. Pick up this scrap time. Make sure we all stay alive. No one fall, as Shawnee is going to do, though. Urban's there for the trade, and make sure to hit this together. But speaking of hit it together, 2 players pushed through Market as the other 2. Well, they were still only halfway down that street, so a bit of a staggered push right here. And again, it's going to slow them down and cost Red Reserve a decent bit of time.
It certainly is, and you kind of have to stack this. It's so difficult to take this once you're not in. What you're really looking for is kind of a cascade of kills to make both teams spawn out and then try and win your gunfights that way. Going against a setup is always going to be difficult.
Well, it is going to be a 2 versus 2 right now. Rated is working in tandem with Urban trying to get inside. You see Rated's able to pick up 1, but he is going to get traded out. And Urban, again, it just seems like there's a bit of a miscommunication of timing of when they want to get aggressive. But here's the move. They're going to make it, and apparently it actually worked out perfectly. Urban had the patience and is successful.
It did, but look at the amount of time they burnt there. Well, they got into it 15 seconds left. That's not really good enough to get through. 45 seconds to break, plus the 10 seconds before they even hit the rotation. It took a long time to do it. Now, they've got to hope for a quicker break here, or they really will start going down. Shawnee gets 1 against Spoof, but it is not enough. And it looks like Ray's going to come in, but he cuts down his teammate. And that's not going to be good enough, but he is looking for the spawns now. This is clever by Rated. He knows he doesn't have the hill.
Well, you see the streaks are going to get called in as well. That's going to be Spoof raining down Trinities upon the enemy team. Still, though, I guess that's a bit of a win for Red Reserve, you could say, because they were actually in the hill while that was going on. So not as much time as you'd like to rack up when you're calling in those streaks. And now you don't have to worry about the Trinities for that later game. So, again, very, very tight score right now. Of course, though, ALG still with the advantage.
If they manage to get another kill here, it will be massive for them. They should be able to break this hill, and they have done. They're going to be able to get the last maybe 25 seconds onto it as well. They're looking now for Nova. Nova goes down as well. And here we go. Rotation into the hallway. Both teams still neck and neck. And they're going to be pretty much dead on even as we go into this next hard point. Who comes out on top? Believe has plat control, and that's massive. You can see Shawnee joining at the bottom, trying to allow Joe to punch in. Joe goes high, doesn't manage to get it, and it looks like all the kills going in favor of that Gold Allegiance team.
Yeah, ALG looking pretty good, and you kind of commented on it. That plat control was absolutely huge. You saw how much emphasis Red Reserve was trying to place upon it, but just none of the gunfights were going to go their way. Now the setup ALG has, that player's pushed out mid-street. Shawnee's not even able to win that gunfight, and then the other 3 players for ALG are just spread across where that hallway is centered. Urban, though, he's going to be able to pick up 2 and get that hill control.
That's what they call the snapper in most polite circles. But here's the interesting thing I've already noted of this rotation set. Red Reserve haven't had a good time of it. The fact that this game is so close is actually quite surprising to me. Allegiance have had the rotation on every single hill that I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem was Red Reserve. They got off to a lead of like 42-0 just on that first hill. If you remember Joe, he started out 4-1. Well, now the guy's 6-11, so he's been 2-9 since that first hill. And again, you go from 42 up to nothing, and now you're down by 10. That is a pretty huge swing. Now back to that hill where Red Reserve had so much success in ALG, as you just commented on. They have that early rotation, and they got the full spread across the map. They have all angles covered. Of course, though, when you spread yourselves out far enough, you can get overloaded. And it looks like Red Reserve from that orange bus side was able to overwhelm their opponent.
They certainly were, and they're going to have control here to begin with. They've got to push out as well, but look, Shawnee is actually spotting lower street, so he is going to be a little bit out here before he comes back into it. And there you go, there's the clearance. They're not able to actually hold on to it for very long. Pushing out both sides of the streets is great, unless you don't win the gunfights.
Yeah, it's always a tricky balance on these contest-heavy hills. You got to deal with the potential of split spawns. You're going to get overwhelmed from one side. It's incredibly difficult to recognize, and that's something Red Reserve, obviously the first time around, did a pretty good job of. Either way, though, we're going to come out to about a tie game at the end of this bridge hill. And if you kind of think back to the first time, this is where Red Reserve kind of had a couple mishaps, jumping out of the hill just to get wiped as a team, and then you give up those spawns over by a grave. And at the moment, ALG does have the preferred spawn, and they have plat control, and they're in the hill.
You know what? If Red Reserve want to end up taking this hardpoint, they've got to get slicker with the rotations. Cannot have Allegiance beating you there every single time, taking plat control, taking marketplace control, and then taking back broken control, and then hoping to slay your way out of it. It's not working right now for Red Reserve. They are not slaying well enough to make a dent in the Allegiance wall they are throwing up. And the worst thing is now, is the best they can hope for is getting lower street control. If they get lower street control, then they can at least get the scrap time and then hit marketplace as a 4.
Well, you just talk about just how much this game has kind of begun to cascade. It's this lower street hill, and Allegiance is able to kind of push that lead out. And again, I guess you could argue that it's a similar situation Red Reserve, where they don't want to overextend themselves, put too much pressure on it. You see they were kind of jumping out just to try to win the gunfights, but that's just to assure that they can hold those graveyard spawns, which they've done. And as you kind of commented, the slang as well, I'm going to bring it up again. Joe, again, the guy started out 4-1. He's 5-16 since then.
Yeah, he's not having a great time here, but here comes the push. Spoof, though, trying to shut it down. Joe does manage to get him, but it's traded out again. It's going to be a big kill by Rated. He has managed to get it now 2 versus 2, but Urban's got him by himself against 2 in the hill, and now it's no good. It's a team wipe. However, they have got the marketplace spawn. They just need to make the kills now and get that cut.
Yeah, this is where you just need a flood. Red Reserve, they got to fly at their opponent. Nova, though, inside the hill. That's going to be a 6 kill and at least 3 defends. And there you see he's going to get the 7th as well. So that man is working close to some score streaks as well. And you see he's going to be very careful getting that scrap time, allowing his team to push up. Of course, this game, 70 points separate these two guys. You see the streaks are there as well. You got to imagine this is going to be an ALG win. For the credit of Red Reserve, though, they do have a bit of a setup right now. You see Spoof, though, he's actually been able to get past Joe. Joe is sitting inside the hallway, and now this might just be falling apart at the seams, but it is going to be Joe and Shawnee at least locking it down for the moment.
All right, that's one streak burned. Bombardment still in play here, of course. But they had to give up so much time on that graveyard. They knew they weren't hitting the rotation. This is actually the first rotation that I know they've got. So whether or not they can hold this now, it will bring them back to 200, where we go into Hallway. But Hallway wasn't a great hill for them last time. They didn't get any plat control.
Yeah, it's going to be a very difficult road. And you see the bombardment comes in as well. Yeah, now it's a situation. Red Reserve, they got to fly across the map, and they got to get there incredibly quick. If you ever made that bet with Rated on Twitter, you're going to be cashing in just a moment. Didn't think they were going to drop a map, and they're going to drop map number 1, and it was not even that close. Fell by about, what was that, 70 or 80 points?
Yeah. Now, the biggest issue for me here is just the rotations. I kept saying it during the game. I've got to keep bringing it up. They had one rotation, but there were streaks in play, Bombardment and Trinity Rocket. You can't do that and expect to win, you know. You can have good stacks and good breaking teams, but if you're not going to have any setup at all the entire game, you're always going to struggle. So, I don't know, like Red Reserve, if we go to another hardpoint with them, just needed to be a little bit slicker.
Yeah, I mean, ALG, they are not a team you can take lightly. These are the guys that knocked out Envy at Anaheim and forced Envy to get that top 24 slot. And these guys have been around the block as well. I know at least 3 of the 4 have been to at least champs last year, so they have at least a little bit of experience under their belt as well. Generally speaking, the problem for those guys is just the slaying power. That's where they lack. Obviously, their positioning has been great. You just saw how many hills they were able to hold pretty efficiently. And then the one time, of course, they used streaks to do it, but they're also able to break through. So the guys definitely know how to play the game. It's just that individual talent hasn't always been there for them. But if Red Reserve, if just one guy doesn't show up, and again, I'm going to keep picking on Joe, you're not going to be able to win that.
You said you weren't a fan, like kind of defending him to begin with, but they can't really defend that performance, and I'm sure he's just as frustrated with it as well. Now, interesting thing, that I was speaking to some of the other players and asking for their predictions on this game, and they said, we think Allegiance may take the S&D. What do you think?
That would have been what I had said. I said Red Reserve, I think, has the edge for the majority of it. Again, these guys have been in the Pro League for a while, even if on different teams. So they've been getting that practice against the top teams in the world, which ALG has not been afforded that luxury. But that S&D game is good. That's where they beat Envy 2 maps out of the 5 that they took down, and they were just able to take that one respawn game mode. Well, they already have their one respawn now, so if all hands are on deck for the Surge, it might be a very interesting series.
It certainly will. And Red Reserve, for me, really have to try and come back into this one. I don't have that much confidence if they go 2-0 down that they can wrest this win away. I'll be honest, I don't really know. Like I said, I think that was a little bit more sloppy than I expected to see from them.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was Allegiance going. I mean, there were super early rotations there from Allegiance. 25, sometimes even 30 seconds, I think I saw one start to move.
Yeah, I don't know. You might be able to chalk it up to just a bit of a slow start. It's a brand new day. It's early in the morning. Like, who knows what's going through these players' heads, how much sleep they've gotten, any number of factors. But as soon as you're halfway through map number 1, you better be firing on all cylinders. Because, again, COD Champs 2017, this is no time for excuses. If you get beat, you just get beat.
Well, again, I pointed out, I said first set of rotations, they had no hope. I was hoping second set of rotations, lower street, they'd at least try and make it. But you're right, you saw what Joe hit the flank, tried to get it, and he ended up going down to Spoof, who was bang on it. You've got to give full credit to Allegiance here, in the fact that they are, in fact, kind of watching exactly what they need to watch. Red Reserve clearly didn't play well, but Allegiance played fantastically. They just would not budge at all on any of those spawns.
Yeah, and I don't know, we're going to be moving into Throwback, Search and Destroy, and this is definitely a map that favors just heavy aggression. I mean, even on the defensive side of things, you can just get mid-map control in a matter of 10 or 15 seconds. Unfortunately, one thing I don't know about this ALG squad is how likely they are to bring out any sniper. Occasionally you'll see some sniper play. I know Nagafen, he was doing that all day yesterday against Straight Rippin', was it? But obviously no success there. But
yeah,
potentially going to be some interesting things coming out.
Yeah, I think so, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how Red Reserve play this now. I think the map suits them a little bit. I can't be looking at Urban for this map, to be honest with you. I've just got a good feeling about him today. Seeing him in that last game as well, he seemed to be doing his usual Urban thing, which is staying on the walls. I think his own teammate made a joke of it last night, because he has an ear problem at the moment, where one of his ears is blocked. So he said, oh, he doesn't need to listen to the footsteps when he's never touching the floor.
I mean, I guess.
He said when you're too far away from the floor, you're never going to hear anyone coming anyway.
I guess, you know, you got to make adjustments somehow. And, of course, all the perks in the game make you very quiet. There you see Spoof going for a bit of a fancy shot. I don't know the call out for that, but me and my teammates always call that the Naga just because that's what the guy does. Either way, though, you see Mayhem, despite the fact that he got first blood, he is going to get traded out. And you got to imagine, on offense, you have a sniper right now if you're ALG, and you got to get that bomb down. This might very well be advantage Red Reserve.
It could be as well. Urban, especially getting that second kill, is going to nail it. I've always been a big in favor of snipers, especially good snipers in Search and Destroy. It adds so much kind of tactical variance to it, but it does heavily rely on the way you play around your sniper. You need him to either cut down a lane, overwatch, or eliminate peekers. If you're unable to do that, if the other team is wise to it, you need to adjust, you need to get off of the sniper. Because like you said, once you get into these kind of flowing gunfights when we're now moving around the map, a sniper is not the weapon you want. Yeah,
and it might be costing ALG a little bit. You see what Red Reserve is able to do. They went for the 3-man wraparound just to check the bomb site. They get a pick over by B, and then they say, all right, we got what we were looking for. Let's go wrap back to the other bomb site, look for more picks. So they're working as that 3-man unit, and now you can see 2 players trying to push up B cut. They know where 1 player is up top. Raided's going to take that gunfight every day of the week, takes down Nova, now believes in a 1v3, and they got the bomb down as well. So obviously difficult situation. Now Raided has 3 kills due his name. They're going to let the guy get the defuse, and he's going to be working, honestly, not too far away from those Trinities and bombardments.
Yeah, that's 100% the right call there, and Raided clearly is flying confidence sky high on this one. So it'll be interesting to see what he does next time. He is just taking those gunfights. He flew out of tunnel to snap that guy in silo, and he wasn't worried about this kill either.
Yeah, and that's a situation where you're in a 2v3 with bomb in hand. I think the majority of the time, you really just have to play for a pick, because obviously you turn into situations where one guy gets all the kills and then you're giving up the defuse as well. Obviously, though, time was running down for them. I think they planted at like the 22nd mark, so you just get in a difficult spot, and again, it kind of falls back on that sniper. Either way, though, Red Reserve on offense, see what they're going to be able to pull out of their bag.
All right, here we go. Raided looks like he might be going straight for it. I don't think anybody spotted him. So right now they're not sure. However, keep an eye on Mayhem. He might go for it. Nova's actually going to go through. No! Shawnee on the Overwatch managed to save Raiders' life, and that is huge. How on earth do you do that? They're now pushing towards it. Spoof still has that sniper. And we said it before, once he starts to get into this flowing sort of gameplay, it's not exactly what you want, but he is looking for a pick with it. He's now having to move up with the EMC. And Red Reserve, they're actually just giving up everything and running away. Oh, he managed to get that sniper hit as well. Looks for the second one, not able to snap onto it. EMC coming out. He needs to wait for it, but Urban says, no, watch this. I've got a proper gun.
Yeah, I have a couple problems with that round for ALG. Most importantly, that first blood. Quite a lot of players do this. If you play in that back lemon area, a lot of guys stick with that NV4. Makes perfect sense. If a guy goes to Heglish the bomb site or is even sitting back bus, that's the right gun for this situation. But the problem is, when you know the guy's on bomb, you're sliding with the MV4. You're just hoping you can get that kill before someone kills you with bus. Yeah. You're just hoping, banking on the fact that you're going to get traded out and you get the bomb planter. But obviously, if the guy just wins that first gunfight, then you're in a terrible situation, and it can be difficult to clutch. Now, of course, you see the NV4 is working again, but Nova's going to take down Shawnee, but not before he made, what was it, Mayhem weak enough, and then Joe finishes off the nade.
Yeah, that was good enough. Like, Mayhem, he knew he was in a bad position. He tried to get to the bomb, got shot, and then tried to get away, and that was right from Red Reserve to just rain the nades in and take him out before he could do anything more. All right, you can see now Red Reserve, what I like to call wolf packing, going round because they're trying to make sure the trades are super efficient, but it isn't. And Joe is now left alone in a 1 versus 3. And he's no longer wolf packing. He is that lone wolf running away. This is now going to be an almost impossible task for him. It should be Allegiance taking this one.
And this is a situation that comes back to, should just Joe jump off the map? Like, you have an ERAD, you know all the players are going to be sitting all the way on the back of the map, and there you see, once the bomb is on the other side, he's just going to take the spill for the team, and I think that's definitely the right call. And you kind of bring back to that wolf packing scenario. The first time around, they wrapped all the way back to the A bomb site, had the clearance. This time, though, they try to cut through mid-map, but obviously, mid-map, there's a giant train. You can't see everything that's there. A player off to the side, he was going to be ready for that wraparound, and he took care of business. So nice round from ALG.
It certainly was. However, we're now back on board with the Red Reserve. Now, they are pushing towards B, and I'm very happy we're far away from here because I can talk about Believe. We're laying in wait at green shed, and he's just hit him. That's a panic moment. There are 3 raining onto him here as well. They might even push through at him. No, they're choosing to take blue control. Some teams like to push straight through. Red is trying to get out clean. Nova's going to pick him up before he can do anything. 3 versus 4 now as well.
Well, ALG has the advantage, and that nade's going to reveal someone's right behind that train. That player's in a very difficult spot. That looks like that's Urban, but still, ALG, they need to make the move quick because Joe, instead of going to help his teammate, is actually going to go for the full wraparound. And now Urban, he's going to be by himself, but he's able to take down 2 at the very least. And good on Urban for at least making this a feasible situation for Joe. Of course, that bomb is down. He's in about the best spot you could possibly ask. Might catch a player off guard. Waits for the perfect time. Gets out of dodge. So that paid off well, but Urban definitely had the play of that round.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. 3 players on Urban, and he still takes down 2 of them. Or 4 players on Urban, it must have been. He still took down 2 players. Unreal. You saw Joe actually, he looked like he was going to hit mid-tunnel, which I thought was a great play, because he would have definitely cut at least one down and given Urban an advantage. He would have split the fire. But I don't know whether a call come in or something. Someone told him to just get out of there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's timidness or just trying to go for that kind of hero play, but obviously when you don't go to support your teammates to try and trade out that kills, it can put them in a difficult spot. But hey, Urban was just the man for the show, and Red Reserve obviously up 3-1. So ALG, they need to figure something out. They've been struggling. Last time Mayhem with the bomb, he got taken down by a nade, so he's got to avoid getting weak. But Shawnee, he's playing this very passively because you can see Red Reserve, they have 2 players going on the flank. They're already round. It's actually going to be Joe leading the charge, and he's going to get caught out. Nova definitely saw him, and he's going to get followed, and he just gets completely overrun. Got to make sure you check your corners, but Mayhem, again, on the bomb site, it was Urban who was able to take him down.
Yeah, massive play by Urban to actually trade that one out. I was a little bit worried about the pressure on the map. If you're going to send players on the flank, I always feel like you should at least try to peek the players from the other side, just to allow your flankers to kind of really be open on it. They didn't really do that, and Joe got caught, so they knew it was coming in.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when you're Joe flanking around that bowling area like that, you have to constantly check to your right, check for that underpass area, because players are going to be aware of it, and they're going to be watching the flank, if they don't have enough information. So slightly poor awareness. Either way, though, that bomb has been planted. Round's going to end quick. Urban, again, showing up in the kill feed. The man is 6-2.
Yeah, this is, by the way, that is one of the most craziest setups I've ever seen. Like, Allegiance were, what, barn, hay, and now he's mid-tunnel. Like, that was absolutely crazy. Believe and ready to go on, but Shawnee's going to end that one as well. Well, it'll be another round of the Red Reserve. I've never seen a team on S&D when the bomb is planted be so spread out on the map. Red Reserve, of course, were as well. They sent one on the flank. So they were just nowhere near the bomb, either team.
I mean, again, that's something Red Reserve did, what? Just the exact previous round with Joe, where say, hey, I don't want to play near my teammates. I'm going to run away from them. But that can definitely do a pretty good job of causing confusion, because a lot of times it's not going to be the expected result, and Allegiance definitely struggling. They've been getting picked off like crazy. This is even when they're getting first blood in the round. They just haven't had an answer, well, mainly for Urban.
They certainly have not. And I said I had a good feeling about him on this map, and it seems to be paying off as well. Now, again, Red Reserve playing this very, very passive. The only payload, of course, is Urban. It's FTL. It's not that big of a deal. He may be able to make a bit of a clutch play with it. But, again, this is very, very slow. And it would be advantageous now for Red Reserve to go B. Obviously, they don't know this, but considering that there is a player sitting in their food, they don't have any real control of the map here, it would be easier for them to cut off and at least go that direction. And it looks like we're going to see Raiden actually challenge. He's looking for him as well. He is going to go down, and that's bomb down. And he's not even going to get the full trade as it goes down to a 2 versus 3.
Well, right now, ALG just needs to make sure that they can actually close out this round because that has been a struggle for them. Lucky for them, they did take down Urban, and he's kind of been the thorn in their side. Spoof, though, with the ERAD, is going to shoot right there, so he's not going to be too aggressive. Meanwhile, Shawnee's actually getting a pick at Nova. And there you see, once again, a round that should go the way of Allegiance is now much more interesting. Of course, still a long way to go. Shawnee's going to get the bomb down, but there's a player for Allegiance that was sitting over by Silo, just ready for the rotation when the bomb's going down. So it's going to be a bit of a difficult spot, and they might have to take a 1 versus 2 gunfight. Spoof, though, is going to call out a player by Lemon, but he's going to get taken down by Joe. The 3v2 is now turned into a 1v1. Joe with the ERAD versus Believe with the NV4.
Oh, he's seen him as well, and I think Joe knows now. And that's advantage Joe massively because Joe can take his time. He's going to get about 10 seconds before he checks. It means that Believe has to nail him here. And he's looking for him as Lemon, and Joe is going to just stay and play his life. He isn't going to engage. It's just peekaboo. Believe, you've got to go at him. And Joe says, no. Here's Lemon. Here's the ERAD. Get out of here. 5-1.
And that is the definition of just getting completely outplayed. Yes, Joe technically had the advantage in the situation, but nonetheless, even with the NV4, you're pretty much forced to get aggressive there. But we got to keep talking about it. It doesn't matter who's getting the first bloods. Allegiance, they just seem completely unable to close down Red Reserve. They are just struggling massively, consistently, just getting picked off.
I feel like it's kind of a counterplay here because Allegiance seem to be playing really loose across the map, and that can work as well. But for me, Red Reserve are doing the same thing, and they just seem better at it. Like, whenever they commit, they know exactly which way they're going, and Believe's going to have an easy kill here as well. That is first blood again for Allegiance. Can they convert?
We're going to figure out how they can mess it up this time. It looks like Mayhem, he's going to be taking that dive for the team, saying, all right, Urban, we're going to continue to feed you as many kills as possible and make this even up to a 3v3. And interestingly enough, Allegiance right now has completely cleared out the A bomb site. They know there was pressure over by B from Red Reserve, and they seem a little bit too timid to even go to plant the bomb. They're still just looking for information, and Red Reserve, of course, they're flying as a unit. So that was a solid 10, 15 seconds where the bomb could have been down. Ultimately, I guess it's not a huge deal because it's still going to be that pure 3v3. Players have flipped sides of the map.
It is now. Where is this first connection coming? Urban has this FTL if he's going to try and make an aggressive play. He sees one back Lemon as well. They should probably hit this Red Reserve as a 3 to try to get this play. They see one as well. They are going to go down. Never gets the first. Believe gets the second. Surely manages to get one back. It's still 1 versus 2 for him, though. And he's going to see a player in the air. Looks for Nova. Nova is better, though, and manages to take him down.
And even right there, that's a situation where Nova challenges that gunfight. His teammate was over, like, by the underpass. So if he loses it, there's actually a somewhat of a decent chance for Shawnee to be able to pull off that clutch. If you're in 2v1 and you have the option of challenge or don't challenge, if your teammate's not there, more than likely you should not be challenging.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, they got the round win, but they're going to need 4 more of those.
They certainly are. We join Red Reserve back on the offense. And this actually may look like a fairly standard, just straight A push. Exactly what it's going to be. It has been seen, though, and this is bad for Raiden. He's hoping his teammates are now going to cover him. Nades will be raining in around him. But he has got it. Can he get away clean? No, he's going to be challenged. Oh, no, Shorty did it again! Shorty took down Spoof again! How many times are you going to allow Shorty to just sit at the back and pick off somebody who rushes the bomb?
I mean, how many times you're going to do something that's predictable that you've already failed at once, and you're just going to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but it is broken, so you got to do something else. Mayhem, though, takes it to 2v2. Believe's actually going to get the beatdown kill, puts a bullet into him, but it's going to be a 1v1. Joe has that ERAD, and of course, that bomb is down with 17 seconds. Believe, though, he's going for the smart play. Joe, though, he's got the time to check it. It's going to come down to a matter of milliseconds. He's actually going to hop off the bomb site, and that's just going to guarantee the round win for Joe.
Joe's laughing at him. Joe doesn't even care.
Oh, man, that's a no-hope play right there. He just costed himself. If you're on the bomb site, at that point, you have to commit. If you hop off, you're guaranteed the round loss. Because Joe, it's a tough gunfight with an ERAD. It'll take a little bit of time to get the gunfight. I think if you make a call like that, you just have to stick to it.
Yeah, I think realistically, when you talk about this, you have to say, don't get me wrong, I think he was going to lose anyway. I think Joe was going to nail him, but it's either he nails him or you get. I think he realized when he got off bomb, he went, I don't have the time now to play around. This is not going to go well for me.
Yeah, and he even opened up the briefcase again as if Joe's not going to check with 8 seconds left when he clearly just saw you. Again, though, I think it's a decent play call just to even attempt that at all, just to go for that defuse. If you think about how Joe played that previous 1v1, He ran away from the bomb site. He ran away all the way to backline, cut through grannies, and was trying to waste time, and then just hid behind that lemon sitting on the side of the map. So his goal was to waste time. Similar 1v1, if he plays it the same way, which he sort of did, he took the time to wrap around ticket, you can maybe get that bomb stick, but again, it's about commitment. When you make a decision in such a fast-paced game, you have to stick to it.
You certainly do. All right, well, we'll be back for map number 3 right after this. Don't go anywhere.
It's hyperbole. No, it's 100% hyperbole.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Call of Duty World Championship 2017 presented by PS4. My name is Bryce, and joining me here, of course, the man who likes to correct me, it is Chance.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be good at something, right? Might as well just be correct from pronunciation. Of course, with the accents, that just might honestly turn into an all-day affair, and I'm actually a little bit concerned about that. I'm casting with two British guys. Miles is actually British. He's repping the Aussies, but that's his hometown, at least, or his homeland. And I think by, like, Saturday, I'm going to just with an accent.
It's just because I couldn't get anyone to cast with you, Chance. Everybody hates you. Just everybody hates you. And we've all decided, you know, we actually get paid extra for working with you. Brilliant.
I mean, no, I can completely understand that. I would have that written in the contract straight away. That actually happened in my old job as well. But
no, it didn't.
No, not even a joke. Like, that actually legitimately happened. It was a bit of a rough situation, but either way.
Now I feel bad.
Look, man.
I feel awful.
No, we got to focus. We got to focus on the task at hand right now. Red Reserve. They're in a situation where they're up 1-0 in their pool. They took down Era yesterday, and Allegiance, the flip side of that, they actually fell to FaZe, and so they're sitting at 0-1. I think they were actually able to take a map off of FaZe as well, and I think the map counts can come into play with those tiebreaker scenarios. So if they're able to take down Red Reserve, it's going to be at least a two-way tie, potentially, depending on how everything else works out. But that's a long ways away, but this is definitely a bit of a do-or-die situation right now for Allegiance to try and even have an opportunity to crack into that top 16.
It certainly is, and you got to wonder now, I mean, uplink is a completely different game to the last respawn, and yeah, last respawn, while they're slaying, was pretty much on par with the Legions. They just weren't actually getting the rotations. Is the teamwork going to be here enough for Red Reserve to make it?
Well, again, I'm going to highlight kind of one of the first things I touched on map number 1. I do not have faith in Joe for this respawn game mode. Right now, though, he did start out 3-1, but you saw in the Search and Destroys, he was a bit of a wizard, right? Every single 1v1 situation, he played them essentially perfectly to a T, playing his opponents well. But if the slaying power isn't there now, it can be a bit of an issue. But you can see trying to get a little bit slippery with that drone, going for the lower wall run is going to fall. But at the very least, he bought his team a tad bit of time, and that drone is actually stuck under part of the map, sort of.
Yeah, that drone's just chilling. I think it got so cold it froze to the ice. That's the actual map thing. That happens. It's a real thing.
I mean, apparently
it's back now.
it does happen.
It's back.
We now have proof of it. ALG with the drone.
Don't throw it there, Nova. It could freeze again.
Nah, he wants to back it up towards his own spawn, doesn't want to run it towards the enemies, but no, in all seriousness, he's trying to wait for his teammates to pick up a couple kills before they make the move, and they're going to be able to get 2. Rated, though, he might be able to slow him down for the second, but they're just going to try and run away. They said, all right, Rated's out of position. He's behind us. That's fine. That's a free 2 points for us, and I like that play. That's something that E6, actually, I think is the best team in the world at. If they recognize even a single player is out of position, they do an incredible job of punishing you, and obviously that happened right there.
It certainly is, and already in this, it looks like the Legions are just the better squad. You've got to talk about Urban and Shawnee. They've only just picked up their 2nd kill after 2 minutes going into this one. You'd like a little bit more positive engagement from them to actually try and push forward, because I just don't have a lot of faith that they're getting this engagement they need. However, Joe and Urban picking it up. Raiders going to drop down to Nova, and Nova really has been holding them off. He's 8-2 at the moment. Believe takes down Shawnee. Joe's going to go for the...
Laughter is the only option in dismal times like this. There's just
it was like
that is actually the worst throw I've ever seen. I think
it's like in a pinball machine as well, because he ended up catching it again. And could you imagine his face when he? I don't know what I've done.
Joe's struggling, man. Maybe that ball is like actually just frozen to like random parts of his hand. He's getting it stuck under the map. He's bouncing off a wall, so he's gonna have to figure out something. But meanwhile, LG is just they're having a field day with it. Nova, you talked about his streak earlier. He's on an 8 streak now, as he got 1 kill with the Trinity, 1 kill with the ERAD, and he's letting it rock, man. He did finally get taken down, and the interception comes in. So finally, Red Reserve at least can take a moment to breathe, but not before they find themselves down 6-0.
You've got to start shutting down Nova. You cannot allow this heavy slaying to go on. You're now 6-0 down. You could be even higher at the half. You've only had 1 half-decent opportunity, of which your teammate managed to hit the wall with the ball. And he was pretty clear as well. I don't think there was anybody who was really going to challenge him at that point. It was one of the easier ones you thought you could have had.
Well, either way, going to continue. You can see Nova still has that bombardment in his back pocket as well. But ALG, they're making moves. They've scored from, well, 2 different sides of the map so far. This is option number 3, and it looks like they're going to be able to connect with more points. So you talk about a team that doesn't make many mistakes, at least in the respawns. They're scoring from all 3 sides of the map, and they're doing it with efficiency, and they're even making the right play calls of which teammate they need to pass to, when they have to pass, who needs to get kills, when they need to throw the drone down, playing essentially flawlessly, at least so far.
If you're Red Reserve, you're just not slaying. And I'm now wondering, it looks like a little bit of panic coming in, because they are flying everywhere, a little bit disjointed as well. You see it again, Spoof just absolutely slams him. And I think I actually heard a scream come from the players' arena right then.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going back to that bet you had with Rated, like all that confidence. But this, right now, it isn't even close. I mean, it was what, an 80-point game in the hardpoint. It was kind of close for a while, but ALG just kind of took over. And now, well, lucky for them, only 1's going to come in from that. But ALG has just completely run up the score. And again, they just look like a vastly better team. Again, at least just in the respawns.
They certainly do, and you got to wonder, Joe's finally getting a 2-piece here as well. That's a 3-piece from Joe, and they just want at least 2 points back. That's all they want, but they've got to make another wave of kills. Can they get a consolation point coming in here? Raiders going to have it. He gets hit by his teammate. That's an interception. That's no good. It's gone. All of Red Reserve drop, and they'll be going into the second half 9-0 down.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math in my head. I think it was Nova that was up like plus 13. They had another guy plus 5. I think the only guy that wasn't picking up kills has the most points as well, so this is a full team effort. And that's kind of exemplified in those final few seconds. It was Red Reserve. They had 4 up. They had Drone. They had an opportunity, but they get completely wiped across the board. Everyone from ALG stepped up to the plate when they needed to. And then, of course, the interception helps as well. And, yeah, Mayhem. He's the only one -3, but he's got 4 points to his name.
Well, let's see if Red Reserve can do what now looks like the almost impossible. Can they come back 9-0 on this one? They've got to get the slaying up there right now. Shawnee's not having a great game, and funny enough, one of the big kind of positives to Shawnee at the start of this year was his slaying. 4-14 isn't good enough.
Well, I mean, it's really just an entire team effort as well, right? I mean, they're down about 22, 23 kills in total. And I mean, ALG, honestly, I know there's only 4.5 minutes left, but they can kind of do whatever they want with the drone. They can essentially just go ahead and start wasting time. But Joe, he's going in for that outer wall run. He's leading the charge. He's the farthest one pushed up, but his teammates behind him are still not picking up the kills. So Joe, he's trying to do it himself, but now they got to wait for the drone to reset. But min-map control at the very least. Now you have Nova, who I've never seen a player so far out of position. So ALG, 3 members have to make the defensive stand, and it looks like they're not going to be able to do it. This should be a 2-point play, and they're actually going to wait at least just a moment so they can back and regain mid-map control. I
really like that as well, the very slow push. Rather than just kind of rushing it and going straight in, they knew they had a little bit of time because Allegiance were already stacking. They ended up getting some of the kills through as well. However, 2 of them go down here now, 3 of them down. Joe's the only one left. He has to make this kill to try and slow them down. It's not even going to be good enough. It's too late.
Well, I mean, Joe in that situation might honestly want to die as well to get respawn so he can go help his team on the defensive end, because now you see where Joe is right now. He's still in sub bay. He is nowhere near going to be in time. Urban, though, he's the man that's going to come up clutch, gets 2 kills. I was surprised he didn't get the beat down, honestly, and gets the drone off the map. And how many times have we seen that? Even just the search and destroy. Urban in a difficult spot comes up big for the team.
Well, he's already cooking again as he goes mid to take down Nova. Believes there, but he ends up not being able to get the kills. He's going to get traded away. No, he dips away. Eventually, Rated comes in as well. Trinity Rockets now impacting onto the map to try to slow them down, but 3 of them end up going. And this looks like another 2. Is this actually going to be a comeback by Red Reserve?
It potentially is. 3 minutes left, got plenty of time. That was actually their streaks that were keeping ALG out of the base as well. So I know Nova had a couple in his back pocket, but you see Urban stepping up, going huge. He's on that 5 streak as well. And now ALG getting the drone out. They might be able to get a quick 1-point toss out here, but the player is going to cut into ice. And, well, gets out with his life for the moment as well. So Red Reserve, now they have 3 players stacked up in blue. This is about the 3rd time I think we've seen someone from either team just completely out of position.
It is. Again, we kind of bring it back to the search and destroy, right? Everybody's playing really loose and fast. A lot of flanking going on. A lot of people trying to get that advantage. The problem being is that Allegiance are so far ahead, they can afford to do that. They can afford to give up another 2 points, another 4 points. They're still going to be in the lead.
Yeah, and you can even see Believe he's leading that charge, gets the beatdown kill as well, and has that overdrive in his back pocket. So ALG, quite a few tools to work with. Nova, though, he's going to be coming around trying to hit that 1-point shot. He falls, but again, it's a situation. Drone gets reset. There's only 2 minutes left, excuse me, and this is a 3-possession game.
It is trying to take down Shawnee. Doesn't manage to get it. Can he get the 2 as well? Takes down Rated. And this has been the problem for Red Reserve the entire time. They just cannot shut down this massive slaying power of Allegiance. Every time you think they're in a great position, in comes an Allegiance player and just wipes the floor with them.
And you know, I was picking on Joe earlier. He's had a decent game. He's leading his team right now, but it seems like for Red Reserve, there's just one guy that's going to consistently be behind. Shawnee right now, 8-21. That's just not going to be enough. And then you talk about Joe. He's got the most counts on his team is 22, but Believe he's only 2nd for his team, and that's how many he has. Nova is having a massive game right now at 28-14.
They try to throw that one out. The problem being is that they keep being shut down. They know they have to move this drone forward. Allegiance aren't stopping either. This isn't like a calm play from Allegiance where they kind of start parking the bus with a minute to go. They are just putting so much pressure on, and there he does another shot like that.
Yeah, I don't know. They just keep clipping, excuse me, the side of that wall. They're going to have to work on that 1-point shot. Maybe both of these teams can kind of go into a private match after this game just to kind of figure that one out. Either way, though, ALG, we're still able to successfully get a point on the board in thereafter. And, of course, just 45 seconds left. Red Reserve is down by way too many points. Joe trying to do it all himself, and that's actually going to be the case because ALG, Believe just kind of let that one go. I don't think you realize that the overdrive is going to get used, but I don't expect it to matter.
I don't think they care.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter.
No, it's really kind of irrelevant, to be perfectly honest with you here. The problem is it's very difficult to relay in uplink. There's it's even more difficult to do it with no time and you're being outslayed like this?
I mean, it's a situation, of course, when ALG, when they have a big enough lead like they did, I think it was 9-0 at the half, they can afford to not even necessarily play properly. They can just be as annoying as possible where they can just constantly lead themselves behind enemy lines. They can play for kills. You have an entire team that can play for kills, and if you get punished for it, well, you still have 7 more points that in your back pocket. It's an insurance policy to, again, waste time, play a little bit weird, do whatever you have to do, and again, very convincing win for them.
I wonder if we can get a little look at the team of Red Reserve right now. I'm really interested to see actually kind of what their mental state is, what their faces look like. I don't know if production can get on. There we go. Not great. Not great. Quite quiet. Not really talking. In fact, two of them aren't talking at all. I think Joe's maybe saying a few things to them as well.
Yeah, I mean, when Joe's the talkative one on the team, I have to imagine that's not like best case scenario. There's a bit of a lack of hype around the team, but they're professionals. These players have been around the block before. They know what they have to do, and they're in an okay position in their pools as well, right? They're still up 1-0. Excuse me. Again, they were able to take down Era, but in the back of their minds, they have to play FaZe after this. They have to play FaZe, so if they fall to Allegiance, that is no me gusta.
Yeah, what you want is to win this one, and then the FaZe is going to be a harder game. Right, it's just going to be a harder game. You don't want to have to go down with it, especially. I believe Raid's actually had a few difficulties against FaZe in the past as well. Slightly different roster now, but you know how it is. Right, let's have a little look at the kind of the map recap for everything that's gone on so far. 250 to 168 there for Allegiance. S&D though, Red Reserve come back 6-2 and then 11-6 on the uplink. Now, it does seem to be the respawns where they're struggling, and you got to say things like Nova, Spoof, really have just been hammering against Red Reserve. Yeah,
I mean, ALG has been playing fantastic, but I'm kind of throw back to one of the first things we talked about when we kicked off the stream. You were talking about Rated. He was trying to make a bet with you for $100 or however much money that they weren't going to drop a map at all. So he was obviously coming in with a supreme level of confidence, but where's that confidence now? Like,
I think he's been playing okay. I think that's the problem. I think he was confident. The rest of his team, maybe not so. Joe had a slow start, but then kind of roared up. Shawnee's not had a great thing. We saw Urban be magical. So, I don't know. You got to kind of put it a little bit on Shawnee. I don't know what he ended on there kills-wise, but it wasn't high. And don't get me wrong, right? It's not all about the KD. It's not all about the kills. But if you're not making those gaps on the map, then your teammates are going to have to deal with it. It's not great. It's just not what you want.
The counterpoint, though, to the kills thing, I know we've been saying it as casters for years that kills aren't the only thing that matters, but in this game, I think it matters more than any other. JP, the guy hard at work backstage with the stats, the ones he put out yesterday, that after day number 1, the team that outslayed won like 97% of the time in both hardpoint and uplink, and I think it might have been search as well. I'm not sure if those were counted, but again, you get more kills, you win 97%. Granted, those are going to be skewed just a little bit. Again, there's a lot of mismatches here when you got a team like LG playing against a team like Supremacy. So there's a lot of weighted matches that you just kind of expect the results. But still, 97%. I think even in the Pro League, the numbers were hanging around those 75 to 80%. So kills 100% matter. They are a huge factor. It's when the teams are closer together that you can get punished for those small mistakes.
You certainly can. All right. Here we go into another respawn then. This is going to be the hard point. And can Red Reserve do anything to come back from this one? We are about to find out. You see Mayhem right now. We're on board with him as he hits Showers. Well,
they're going to have quite a bit of pressure in Showers as well. It's going to be 2 players. Meanwhile, mid-map, Believe in Nova, well, they're able to get quite a few kills, and that's going to be early control in their favor. More importantly, you see the side Red Reserve is spawning on. Yeah, they're not going to be happy with that. But the full setup here for ALG, Red Reserve basically has a choice. Yes, there's plenty of time left on this hill, but they can either push mid-map now or try to work on the flank and already go for spawns for next hill. They try to push mid-map, and again, Mayhem is going to be able to pick up 3. They had the full setup, and look at that spread across the map. Believe right now, he's in Showers. You got Nova on the flip side of the map. He's got that covered, and 2 more players for ALG are locking down mid. That is the perfect setup you want to have.
This is not good. They still haven't made a kill, Red Reserve.
Jesus.
I don't know if you noticed that. They've actually... Oh, Joe made one! There we go. They lost 12 kills in succession. All were going 0 and 3. But that's just going to now start putting spawns up there for them as well. I don't know. This is not great. Somebody needs to gas them up. Somebody needs to get into Red Reserve's head and just say, look, let's go. Because if they don't, it's not going to be good enough. But Urban makes a 2-piece. Can they try and turn this around now? Urban hiding from his... And the Ed's going to get through. Rating backs him up as well. They're now looking to get this one and shut down any pressure from the back. Not quite able to do anything more, though. They are sitting in there. They don't really have control. They have to sit and watch the corners. They're looking for it. Just still holding this one as well. Just a good hold, actually, from Red Reserve for a tight place.
Yeah, I mean, it is worth mentioning. If you think back to that first retail hardpoint, it was actually Red Reserve, where on the very first hill, they go up like 42-0. ALG ends up winning that map. So ALG, obviously, they had the best start you could possibly imagine for. They have a very nice lead. They even have the spawns for the next hill. But Red Reserve, again, were able to fight back. These guys are professionals. Urban, by the way, was the guy leading that charge. He is still going to be on a 5 streak, but still, Red Reserve find themselves about 30 points down. Gonna have to try and break in the hill. Joe, though, he's gonna push by himself. He's gonna fall, and then the rest of Red Reserve is just not there.
They certainly are. And is this gonna be another question of rotations? You know, last time we watched this, Red Reserve couldn't get a single rotation down. It's not just the kills. Like, admittedly, it's not great if you look at the score.
I mean, even just rotations, but even the way that they are attempting to break hills. The first time around, Joe, he flew out by himself, and there was just a pretty big disconnect where the team just kind of left him hanging, or maybe Joe was not listening to the play call, but there's obviously something going wrong there. And then you have a situation where it's Urban. He's calling in that scarab to try and lead the charge to break the hill, but all these players are sitting back in cave, posted up on head glitches. It's not difficult just to shoot that scarab down, and then you're just wasting a lot of time. In ALG, they completely racked up the score. I think that might have actually been a full 60, if not like 58 or 59 seconds on that cave hill.
All right, well, Red Reserve are in the hill this time, but they don't have the spawns you would prefer. It looks like they may even pinch it. Which way are they going to go from? They're going to wait for the scarab to come in. Scarab goes down. Here comes the push now. 2 going mid. They're going towards the back as well. Nova knows there's players watching him. He's going to go on the outside. He knows his teammates are rushing through the mid as well. Can he make this kill? He does. Massive kill as well going down. Joe gets 1 for the trade, but nobody else is there, and they're spawning showers. This is all Allegiance again.
Yeah, and I got to give props to Nova there as well. He knew a player kind of had his number, was going to be expecting a gunfight, but he slowed down just enough to where his teammates were able to come in the side, and then he picks up the kill as well because that player is going to be forced out. Meanwhile, Nova is cooking once again. This was the guy going off on retail. He even had quite a few moments over in the uplink. He has been a man on a mission. He's on a 6 streak. He's got the Trinity, and now he's just 50 away from the barman. He might just be single-handedly winning his team the game, and more importantly, Believe's on a 7 streak as well. This is just everyone from ALG, man. They're playing out of their minds.
I have to point this out, and I hate pointing this out here, but we've had a full set of rotations, right? Shawnee has 1 kill. There's not an awful lot you can say. There's not an awful lot of sugarcoating I can put onto this. But you've played through 4 hills and you've got a kill.
I mean, so in the past 2 game modes, I know he was at 8 and 21 in the Frost uplink, so he might be at like 9 or 10 in the past 2 maps. Meanwhile, Nova right now, he's at 15 just for this one, and we're only, what, 3 or 4, or probably like 4 or 5 minutes into the game, and they haven't really slowed down too much either. Again, ALG, again, playing out of their minds. This is a high-pressure match for them. If they fall to Red Reserve, they don't make the top 16. They need to win this, and then they have to go and play Era, but frankly, an ALG that's looking this good, I would just outright expect them to be able to take down Era, so this might very well be the match that decides who plays his top 16. If Red Reserve falls here, well, then they're forced in a situation where they have to beat FaZe, and if, you know, they're looking like this, I just don't think it can be done.
Here's the issue that I do have with all of this, though. That's only 50-point difference. I feel like it should be more. Like, 50 points is nothing on Breakout. How many times we've seen massive turnarounds come on this? A full hold on this hill right now will eliminate pretty much all of their lead. They should be further ahead. Red Reserve are somehow playing this very, very cleverly and got a lot of contests going in. But again, incoming there from Allegiance. And I'm just not entirely sure exactly how they're going to do this. Well,
I mean, it is worth mentioning to see ALG. Well, it is going to be Nova inside the hill, or Mayhem, excuse me, with the ERAD. He's able to pick up a kill as well. He was dealing with 2 Red Reserve players, but if you think back to the first time around, because it is a much closer game than you would expect, Red Reserve was actually on this cell block hill that they were able to kind of close in the reins a little bit and turn that into like a 15, 20-point game. This time, they have full control. They look to be doing the exact same thing. ALG, that's when they call in the streaks. They open it up. They get that control. control and again, kind of push out to that 60-point lead. Now, of course, moving into Grave. Last time around, it was the full 60. Red Reserve is in control. And look, this is where you get punished for giving up streaks. Urban, by the way, apparently is just sitting behind Steel, but the second rocket is going to get him, and that's just a clean forward break. Now, again, the benefit to Red Reserve, all the streaks right now are burned from Nova, so they have that in the back of their minds. They can play as if they normally would, but still, how are they going to get back and control this hill?
I don't know if they are, and even if they do, I fully suspect that if they break back in, they'll probably lose spawns for Commissary, and they're not going to get back in.
And it's worth mentioning as well, we've talked about Nova this game. Believe also was going on streaks. Mayhem, he just went on like a 5 or 6 streak of his own. So, I mean, these players are taking turns of who's going to go off for the squad. But just collectively as a whole, ALG obviously has been looking completely fantastic. And right now, Red Reserve, they're looking for the pinch. They're trying to get back if there's anything they can do. But even if they win the gunfights, which they haven't been winning pretty much any of them, it's still just a few seconds left on the hill. Now we're back towards Commissary. If you remember the first time around, ALG took them about 15 seconds and they break through. They're going to be trying to do the same thing once again.
They are rated here. Desperately trying to hold the spawns for his squad, but he can't win a gunfight either. This is probably the worst I've ever seen in Red Reserve slay. None of them seem to be snapping. None of them seem to be able to make these kills. And they just keep dropping down and down again. Spoof taking down Joe. Rady tries to hit the mid. He sees a player. Not able to get that one either. Down he goes. And again, Red Reserve just have nothing to answer for. This doesn't even look like two teams on the same level.
ALG, yeah, they just look like a completely better team. Just like, even you could say a tier above what Red Reserve is bringing to the table. Again, it's not just kills. ALG, they've won nearly every single rotation, and the only rotations that they've given up, it's when they've had the streaks in the back pocket, so where they can afford to fight for those scrap seconds a hill, because they can just use streaks to break into the next one. Now, of course, they are just 20 seconds away from not only winning the game, but winning the series.
They certainly are. Now, we have seen turnarounds on Breakout before, but probably not to this level or degree. Let's see whether or not miracles can happen on Breakout. They have to start making the kills. There would have to be a completely different squad, and it doesn't look like that's true. In fact, it's actually going to end on mid-hill, I believe. That's pretty much done.
And that's going to be your game. That is an ALG that looked fantastic, and those are the players' reactions. Again, we can't highlight enough how important that match was for this team. Again, now they're going to be sitting at 1-1 in their pools. They just have to beat Era, which again, if they keep playing at this level, they could very well do it and might solidify their spot in the top 16. And Red Reserve, well, now they're in a situation they're going to have to beat FaZe.
Yeah, that's not really where you want to be, and even if they beat FaZe, I reckon FaZe will have a 2-1. It could be a three-way tie.
That's absolute best case scenario for Red Reserve, and that is not very likely.
No, it really isn't, and I'll be honest with you, I'm sure Red Reserve have got something to say. None of their players looked like they were snapping, they weren't winning any gunfights. Even times when they had the first bullet in, they were losing. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit flabbergasted at exactly what was happening in Red.
I mean, it's not the time for excuses. This is champs. This is the main stage. This is when it matters most. You're trying to qualify for that top 16 and like quadruple your money or however much it is. I mean, the Search and Destroy, they were looking fine. They were winning plenty of gunfights. Urban was going off. Yep. They had moments of life. It was just kind of one player dragging him down to the uplink, a separate player that was dragging him down the hardpoint, and then just completely getting schmangled in that final hardpoint as well. But again, full credit to ALG. Nova was playing like an absolute madman the entire time, padding his stats even. He's going to be looking fantastic, but that was probably my man of the match. But again, collectively as a team, ALG, all of them were putting up numbers. Mayhem, when he was looking a little bit lackluster, immediately goes on a 6 streak. Same thing for Spoof. The moment he started to slow down, he was like, I'll just turn it up real quick for the squad and go on a 7 streak. It's just an incredibly impressive performance from ALG.
Yeah, it certainly was. You had to give them full credit for getting that one as well, and that may very well have put them into the bracket. But let's recap now and go through and look at the hard point and see how this actually ended up breaking down. As you can see here, Bridge Hill, pretty much the best hill for Red Reserve. Every other hill, though, that was Allegiance. I mean,
it was really great. That's when they got absolutely slaughtered in the game. It was close until I think it was Nova, actually. I know Spoof posted that 1.91 KD, but I think that was where he earned his streaks on the Grave Hill, and that essentially will win you the game on retaliation. And there you go. That's about that 80-point difference.
It most certainly is, and I think the respawns, I don't know what Red Reserve can do now. They've somehow got to figure out how to beat FaZe in going forward, and that doesn't really kind of get it forward. But let's have a look at the S&D where they did excel and do very, very well here. It was very one-sided. Joe actually with a 2.0 going through. But, you know, 6-2, and it looked comfortable for Red Reserve. You can take this positive away.
Yeah, I mean, it was the plays that they were making. I mean, early on, it was those full team rotations that were working, and even when ALG was able to counter it, Red Reserve, they just kept finding ways to pick off players one by one. ALG just a little bit too scattered, and then when it comes down to those 1v1 situations, well, I mean, Joe, he got, what, second at Champs last year. This is a player that obviously has quite a bit of prestige under his belt. He played the 1v1s flawlessly, was able to get 2 in a row, and he made it look easy. Yeah,
it was Joe you were worried about coming into this one, and maybe we should have been a little bit worried about Shawnee. I'm sure he's kicking himself now, but it just wasn't great. Let's have a little look at the uplink, though. Let's see how this one went down. And again, the Shawnee, he did get the most scores, though. He got 4, but his KD was 0.4.
And he loved that as well for Mayhem, though. You see, he's actually posted the worst KD for his team as well, but he's got the most points. And that's probably one of the best examples you're going to see of a guy who is just filling his role and doing his job. Because, again, the rest of his team were just having a pretty easy time of just consistently outslaying their opponent. Once again, I think it was Nova that was kind of carrying for a while, it seemed. But when your teammates are posting numbers, someone's got to get that drone in.
They certainly do. And it's kind of the same tale going forward again. Right now we're going to go back into Breakout, and some European teams do struggle on this one, and apparently Red Reserve is one of them. Here you can see how these hills went down. And going through, I mean, it's kind of the same story again. Cell Block, they're Red Reserve, and, you know, they managed to keep it close there.
I mean, just the way that game started, I was honestly incredibly concerned. Once you pointed out that we were like a full minute into it and Red Reserve hadn't gotten a single kill across the board, like, that is just insane stuff. I mean, that's what like Allegiance would do to me. Like, that's what they would do to like just like a subpar amateur team would have that kind of rough start. Of course, Red Reserve, they bounce back for a minute. They look out on Cell Block, but again, by the time the second set of rotations came in, because of that grave hill, it was just ALG had streaks in their back pocket. And again, similar situations on Retaliation. If you have streaks, there's just nothing you can really do.
No, there really isn't. It's one of these things where even if you start to get the rotations, you're going to be knocked out of it as well. You then have to leave the hill or try to hope they don't get you with it. You have pretty much nothing with it.
Yeah, and so that's pretty much going to do it for that match. Again, congratulations to Allegiance. I think they'll have to play in like another 3 hours or something like that before that group is actually going to be solidified. And I think next on Bravo, we have Ghost versus TK, which that should be a very interesting match.
It most certainly should. Join us after this break. We'll see you then.